So advanced programming language is a Java language, and Java programming is similar to the language you have already learned, that is C and C++. So the languages which you have learned, similarly, this is one of the language called as Java programming language. So first we will remind the basic history of the programming language. The history of Java is very interesting. Nowadays, Java is considered as a leading technology in web development, but the original design of Java was for a platform independent programming language which can develop a software that can be embedded in consumer electronics devices such as microwave oven and remote controls. So let's learn how this history is evolved and how the Java is used worldwide. So the Java history is divided into three different phases. First is at 1991, then 1992, and in January 2010. So in 1991, the development of a Java was started in 1991 by Sun Microsoft Systems. So in 1991, Sun Microsoft Systems wanted to develop a new language for embedded systems. So this task was given to a team which was headed by a developer called as James Gosling. Okay, so this task was headed by a developer called as James Gosling. So the James Gosling then named the language or that task as a OAK. Why oak was named? Because it was named from a oak tree. So the James Gosling first gave the language named as oak in 1991. Later in 1995 there was a copyright issue, so the oak name was renamed to a Java. So the oak name was later renamed as a Java. Java name was given because there was an island called as Java, and the Java coffee was famous in that island. So in 1995, the James Gosling renamed the language name Oak to Java. And in 1996, the JDK 1.0 is released as an open source. So JDK stands for Java Development Kit, Java Development Toolkit, or you can say Java Development Kit 1.0. It is a software to write a Java program, and that is an open source software. So in 1996, JDK 1.0 was released as an open source software. Later in 2010, in January 2010, Oracle acquired Java. So now Java was fully incorporated with Oracle. Then Java becomes an official product of Oracle in 2010. Now the Java which you are using or you will use, that will be incorporated with Oracle. So these are the three phases or three histories we have learned for Java language. Then when the Oracle acquired the Java, Oracle gave three editions. The first edition is Java SE. The first edition is Java SE. So Java SE stands for Java Standard Edition. This Java Standard Edition was used for desktop and a client-side applications only. This is the first edition made by an Oracle, that is Java SE, and it is used for desktop based applications only or a client side application. Then the second edition was Java ME. Java ME, that is the Java micro editions, which were used for a small device such as mobile. So for the mobile technology or using a mobile or creating an application for mobile, Java ME was used. Last edition was Java EE, that is Java Enterprise Edition. So Java Enterprise Edition was used for a business app or a business softwares or a softwares which were produced in used in large areas. For that purpose, Java Enterprise Editions were developed. So these were the three editions: Java SE, Java ME, and Java EE. So these were the three editions incorporated by Oracle. So next we are going to see is Java compilation and execution. So let's see how this programming language is executed or how this programming language is compiled. So you have already learned C and C++ languages. So in that C languages, we have its own compiler. Even in C++, we have a compiler. These compilers are execute directly. It executes a code directly. So for C, you have a .c compiler, or you have a specific compiler, and CPP programs are compiled with .cc or .cpp files. So these files are converted into some program which is executable. For example, I have .c file and I have .cpp file. Then that files are with that files are compiled with the help of compiler, and that are converted to some program which is already executable. So Java C is the name of Java compiler. Java C is the name of Java compiler. So basically in this figure you might see the one flow chart. Now see, there is a Java source code. So Java source code means what? The file which you are going to write a code. The file which you are going to write a code. In C and C++, you write the code and save the file as .c or .cpp. So the file which you are writing your code, we call it as a source code. Now here in the Java programming, we use .java as a file extension. For example, I have one program, I have named it as demo. Then I will save this program as demo.java, because this demo.java is my source file or a source code. Okay, so in Java programming, we store our source code in the form of program name dot java. For example, demo.java. Next, we have a Java compiler. Once you have done with a source code, when you save the source code, the next part is to compile the code. Now, how to compile the code? To compile the code, we have Java C compiler. We have Java C compiler. Java C is the compiler which is helped to compile a program in Java languages. So here we have a Java C as a compiler. So how to compile that program is C Java C and give the name of your file. Suppose my file name is demo.java, then I will compile it as Java C demo.java. Java C demo.java. So this is how I will compile my code. So once you compile your code, that code will now pass to the interpreter. This Java uses compiler and interpreter both. Some languages uses only compiler and other languages uses only interpreter, but this Java programming uses both compiler and interpreter. So Java C is name of Java compiler, which convert the Java source code into some interpreter code, and this interpreter code is called as bytecode. See, I repeat again, Java C is the name of Java compiler which convert the Java source code into some interpreter code, and that interpreter code is called as bytecode. So when you compile your code, the code will now uh, save into a bytecode with the extension called as dot class. Now here, for example, our name of the code is demo.java. We compiled it as java c demo.java. So when you compile the code as java c demo.java, that code or that file will now convert it into a bytecode, and here we will get a bytecode as demo.class. So there will be a class file after the compilation of the code with extension dot class. So our Java C, that means Java compiler, will convert the source code into an interpreter code. We call it as a bytecode. So now this bytecode does not execute directly on your hardware. Okay, this bytecode does not execute directly on your hardware, but this bytecode is capable of executing on software based machines called as JVM. This the bytecode is capable of executing on software based machine. We call it as a JVM. Now this JVM stands for Java Virtual Machine. JVM. Now, this is not physical hardware based machine, but it is a software based machine created by a Java programming language. So JVM is a software based machine which is provided by a Java programming languages. So every bytecode executes under JVM. Every bytecode compulsory executes under Java Virtual Machine. So, indirectly, Java Virtual Machine interprets to you to your OS, that is to your operating system, and now executing this program into form of JVM. This means when we convert it into bytecode, okay, so JVM interpret it to your OS. When you convert it into your bytecode, this JVM interprets it to your OS. The executing this JVM, we have two facilities. Why we are using the JVM? We have two facilities. The first is your code remains separate from OS. Whatever the code I will be writing, that will remain separate from my operating system, which provides security to your OS. So it your or if the code fails, or there is harm in your code, or there is virus in your code, then or any file which will damage the whole your system, the JVM helps us to get affected only with the JVM and not with the OS. So it provides security management also. Okay, so whatever will be the harm or damages, it will be to the JVM only and not to the OS. Second thing is, the kind of architecture provided is platform independent. So whatever the Java programming is using, it is architecture neutral or platform independent. So now what is meant by platform independent? That is, if you have JVM on your OS, then you can run your program on any machine. So whatever will be the OS of that machine, it will run on any machine. Means whenever you are writing your program and that machine have JVM, then that code will run on any another machine. That code will run on any another system. So this Java is called as Wora. That is WORA. WORA. What is this Wora is? Write once, run anywhere. Write once, run anywhere. This means when you are creating a Java program, that Java program can run on any machine. So we call Java language as a Vora. That is write once, read anywhere, anytime. This is the question asked in your interviews. What is this Vora, or why is the Java language is Vora? So this means write once, run anywhere. This we called it as a platform independent or portable or architectural neutral. Okay, so this is one of the feature of Java programming language. Next is Java compilation and execution with the help of this figure. Now see, our source code will be in the form of .java. So my Java code, that is my source code, will be in the form of .java. Then I will use Java compiler, and then it will be in the form of bytecode, that is my dot class. So now if you have a JVM, okay, so JVM will support all other OSs. That means if you have Windows, Linux or Mac, if you have a JVM, then the Java code will be executable on all other platforms. So this is how the process of Java compilation and execution. Next, we are going to see is Java setup. Now, to run a Java program, we required to install JDK. Okay, so everyone has to compulsory install JDK. If I have a setup, I will share with you. So first step is to install a JDK. Then we have to set a path. I will show you how to set a path in next lecture. And then we have to write a program and run the program. So these are the simple steps of Java programming. Okay, we will write a program into a notepad, we will run it into a command prompt, and we will get an output. So this is the simple step of Java programming, or to execute a Java program. Next we are going to study is features of Java programming. So these are some 10 features of Java programming. The first is Java is a simple language. It is object oriented. It has high performance. It is secured. It is architecture neutral. It is portable. It is robust. It is dynamic. It is multi-threaded. And it is distributed. So one by one, we are going to see how what are the features of this programming languages. So the first feature of Java is it is simple. We say that Java is a simple programming language. So why we say it is simple? Java is very easy to learn and its syntax is simple, clear and easy to understand. Because mostly Java syntax is based on C and C++. So and also Java had removed the complexities which were in C++. So Java has removed many complicated and rarely used features. For example, explicit pointer and operator overloading. So this explicit pointers and operator overloading was in C++, which was bit complicated. So this feature is removed from Java. In Java, we don't use pointers. So this Java is removed pointer and operating loading overloading. So we call it as Java is a simple. Also, there is no need to remove unreferenced object because there is automatic garbage collection in Java. This is very important. In Java, there is automatic garbage collection. Like in C++, we need to give reference if you have to remove the object. So this part is removed in Java because we have automatic garbage collection in Java. So this is the first feature, that is Java is a simple programming language. Second, we have Java is an object-oriented programming language. Now, we say Java is object-oriented language because every concept in the Java is based on class and object. So whatever you are going to study in Java programming language, it is fully based on class and object concept, which was earlier you have studied in C++. That is the object-oriented concepts. So Java is an object-oriented programming language, and everything in Java is an object. So object-oriented means what? So whatever the concepts we learn, which is based on the real world life, or to create an object and you access that object. So this concepts we are going to study it into Java. And Java supports all the concepts of object oriented, that is object, class, encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction. So all these concepts which we have already studied into a C++, we support that into a Java. So Java, we call it as an object oriented programming language, and it follows a rule that everything is an object. So whatever we are going to write it into a code with the help of class and object, we have to design a code. So second feature is Java is object oriented. Third feature is Java is distributed. So let's see what does this distributed means. Like, as we know, software is a set of programs, and the Java program is under roof of single software and can be distributed over all the network. This means if you are writing a code, then that code can be distributed into a different networks. You might be knowing remote process or remote RMI, you might have studied remote method invocation. So with the help of these methods, we can distribute our code into a different networks. So we call it as Java is a distributed. Next is multi-threading. This is again a major feature of Java programming, that is multi-threading. Now let's see what is this multi-threading. We already know the concept of multitasking. So what is multitasking? Multitasking in which multiple tasks are executed simultaneously by a multiple applications. We execute multiple tasks by multiple applications. This we call it as a multitasking. Now, multi-threading is similar concept provided by Java with an important difference that multiple tasks are executed simultaneously but by a single application. See the difference between multitasking and multi-threading. In multitasking, we execute multiple tasks simultaneously by multiple applications. But here in the multi-threading, multiple tasks are executed simultaneously by single application. Okay, by single application we execute multiple tasks. So we call it as a multi-threading. So this is the advanced Java technology, helps to meet real world requirement of developing interactive and network programs. For this purpose, we use a multi-threading. We have a programs based on multi-threading. We will learn later in this subject. The next feature, fifth one, is high performance. We have seen Java is simple, Java is object oriented, Java is distributed. So another feature is Java is Java is portable. So next we are going to see is Java has a high performance. So what does this high performance means? Java provides high performance features such as multi-threading and JIT. So already we have seen what is multi-threading. Next is JIT. So JIT is a just-in-time compilation. Okay, JIT is a just-in-time compilation which is used to improve performance of the Java. Next feature is Java is dynamic. So we say Java is a dynamic language because it supports dynamic loading of classes. It means classes are loaded on demand, and it supports function from its native language C and C++. We can dynamically allocate some data, or we can use dynamic classes. So we say Java is a dynamic. Next is Java is portable, architectural neutral, and platform independent. So we have already studied the structure of execution and compilation of Java. In that, we seen that how the Java code we write and that is executed on another OSs. This means platform independent, portable, and architectural neutral. So the goal of Java we know is write once, run anywhere, anytime, and forever. So this is the goal of Java. Write once, run anywhere, anytime. As I said. So Java program created on one machine can be executable on any another machine with different operations. Okay, so Java is a portable because it facilitates you to carry the bytecode to any platform, and it doesn't require any implementation. So if you are writing your code and you have converted into a bytecode, then that code you want to run into another machine, you does not need any implementation for that purpose. So we say it is a portable. So this is the major feature of Java programming. Java is a portable and platform independent language. Remember this is important. Then next is Java is a robust. Now can anyone tell me what is meant by robust? Robust, we say English language is a robust language. So robust means strong. The meaning of robust is strong. So we say that Java is a robust language because it uses strong memory management. There are no pointers, so it avoids security problem. Like as I said, we have pointers in C and CPP, but in Java that emits the pointer, and because there are no pointers, so we avoid security problems. Okay, so we call Java as a robust language because we have strong memory management, and we avoid a security problem. Next, Java provides an automatic garbage collection. As we have seen just now, Java has an automatic garbage collection, so which runs on virtual machines to get rid of objects which are not used. Like in CPP, if the objects are not used, then you have to give reference to that object and remove that object. But here in this case, we have an automatic garbage collection. So if there are any objects which you are not using throughout the program, then that can be handled with garbage collection. And there are exception handling concepts. In Java, we have exception handling concepts and the type checking mechanism. All these points makes Java robust. So what is this exception handling? So exception handling in this case in Java programming is a concept where we handle the errors, or we can handle the exceptions. Now for example, suppose I have A divided by B as a division logic, and I am dividing as 10 number by 0. Can I divide 10 number by 0? Yes, students, can I divide 10 number by 0? 10 divided by 0? No, right? So if you are using the logic in a program, 10 divided by 0, then it will interrupt our code, and it will stop our code for further execution. So in this case, Java can handle this type of exceptions with the help of exceptional handling concepts. So we have an exception handling concept. With that concept, we can handle such type of exceptions. So this is how the exception handling work, and which make the Java language as a robust language or a strong language. So this is one of the major feature of Java, that is Java is a robust language. Next is Java is secured. We say Java is best known for its security. So as we seen that there are no pointers, there are garbage collection, there are exception handlings, and these concepts make the Java as a security purpose. So we can develop a virus-free systems. So we say Java is secured because there is no explicit pointer. Java program run inside a virtual machine sandbox. It provides Java Security Manager. It provides security from viruses and unauthorized access. So we say mostly Java is a secured and secured and authorized. Next is compiled and interpreted. So we have already seen the compilation and interpretation steps. So the next feature is compiled and interpreted. So like as I have already told you, some languages uses compiler, some languages uses interpreter. Compiler means it compiles entire code at a time, and interpreter means it compiles code line by line. So there are some languages which only use compiler and some other languages which only use interpreter. But Java uses both compiler and interpreter. This is also one of the interview question. Students remember Java uses both compiler and interpreter. So in Java, the source code is not directly transferred into a machine code, but first it is transferred into a bytecode and then into a machine code. And the source code is transferred into a bytecode by compiler. Remember this. The source code is transferred into a bytecode by compiler, while bytecode is transferred into a machine code by interpreter. See, there are these two different things. Source code is transferred into a bytecode by compiler, and bytecode is then transferred into a machine code by interpreter. Okay, so the bytecode can be interpreted on any another machines. So this is why we say Java is compiled and interpreted. So this is the one feature, that is Java is compiled and interpreted. So we have seen the 10 features of Java. The first is Java is simple, Java is object oriented, Java is distributed, Java is multi-threaded, Java has high performance, Java is compiled and interpreted, Java is architectural neutral, platform independent or portable, Java is dynamic, Java is robust, and Java is secure. So these are the 10 features of Java programming language. So this is the simple code of Java. This is the Hello World program of Java. We are going to see in detail how this program works and what is the meaning of the every keyword. So we are going to study in detail in next lecture. So in the next lecture, we are going to see the setup of Java programming and how to compile the Java program and how to run the Java program. So now see here, we have a Hello World program which is written in Java. Just we have to print Hello World. Okay, so what it is written, see. The first is we have to write a class. Class is a keyword and the name of the file is same as class name. Remember, in Java programming, the name of the file is compulsory the name of class file. So now the class file name is first, so the name of the Java file will be first. Okay, first.java. Now the class first is declared. Next we are writing with one main function, that is public static void main string args. Public static void main string args. So this is the one of the main function which we write into a Java code. So the class is the keyword used for the purpose of declaration of class in a Java. Then next line, see the second line, public static void main string args. Public, this is an access modifier which represents visibility of a main method. See this public, okay, this public is a access modifier. This is a access modifier which represents visibility of a main method. The main method should be public so as to get access outside the program by interpreter. If we are writing public, this means the access of this file can be get outside the interpreter, outside the program by the interpreter. So we write public. Next word is static. As the main method is declared as static, it can be accessed by interpreter without the help of any object. We have declared here as static. This means interpreter can use this without help of any object. Then we have void. You already know void is the return type of main method. It indicates we don't have any return value. This means void. Main method represents starting point of the program. Main method represents starting point of the program. Then we have string args. So string args, what is that string args? Args is an array of type string. See, args is an array of type string and it is used to accept command line argument. This is used to accept command line argument. We will learn it what is command line argument. Okay, later we will learn it what is this command line argument. Now for this only remember it is used to accept command line argument. Then we have system.out.println. So like in C programming we have printf, in CPP we have cout. Similarly in Java we have system.out.println. This will help you to print whatever you want to display. Now in our case, I want to display hello world. So I am writing system.out.println. Print line. Okay, println. See, S is capital. Okay, for Java, S is capital. System.out.println hello world. And then I have closed my curly brackets. So this is the simple hello world program of Java. Now this string args, we are going to take, whenever we are going to take some inputs from the user, we use as a command line argument, and for that purpose we required this string args. Okay, so for now only remember this, it is used to accept command line arguments. Now I will save this program as first.java. Compulsory, I will save my program as first.java. Why I am giving name as first? Because see, my class name is first. So in Java programming, whatever the class name will be, that name will be the name of your file, compulsory. So I am saving it as first.java. Now I want to compile this. So how to compile? Java C first.java. Okay, Java C first.java will help to compile the file. Now, when you compile the file, if there are no errors, then it will create first.class file. Okay, so first.class file will be generated automatically after the compilation. Now, when I want to run the file, I have to write Java first. First is the name of my file. You only have to write Java first. No extension you have to give to run the file. So these are the steps of writing a program and executing a program. If you want, you can screenshot this as well. So this is the simple Java program creation and execution. I hope you all have understood this. In the next lecture, we are going to see in detail how to set up the Java and how to compile and run the program. I will show you the demo in the next lecture. So thank you all. We will stop here.